Is this really the rarest wrestling card set out there? Or are we just talking Beanie Babies? Stick around and find out. So there I was, right? Sorting cards, listing stuff on eBay, minding my own business, reading the fan mail and the love letters from those out there who don't think wrestling cards should be worth anything. When I get a DM from none other than Paul Anand. If you're unfamiliar with Paul, he runs a great wrestling card resource, the Wrestling Card Price Guide. You can also check out my interview that I did with him on this channel there. We also had him on another video on this channel to talk about a very controversial topic, comparing the 82-83 All-Stars with the 98-99 WCW on-card autos. You can check that controversial talk there. And while he isn't a member of the Wrestling with Cards booking committee on Patreon, he did reach out to me about a specific topic. He was like, hey, I've got this card set. It's very rare. There's not a lot of information out about it, and I think it would be good to talk about on your show. And I said, hey, I'm not as educated on these. You've got the card sets. Come on the show. Let's talk about it. If this is your first time checking out my channel, thanks for stopping by. If you're a regular, thanks for the continued support. If you haven't already and you're enjoying this so far, hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. Share this video with a friend and on all social platforms, no matter what you're on. I'm just trying to continue to build this community, get more people, more wrestling fans, more sports cards fans into wrestling cards. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump into our talk with Paul Anand from the Wrestling Card Price Guide and find out, are these really the rarest wrestling cards in existence? Paul's back with us again. I think you've actually been on the show now more than anybody, so congratulations.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Exalted position. That's fantastic.
Yeah, if we're not counting...
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, you're welcome. Glad to have you on today. If we're not counting Tony on the kind of repurposing of the video versions of Worlds Collide, yeah, I think this is your third or fourth time back, so welcome. And today, you actually brought this topic to me, and it just clicked when you told me, because I was like, you know what? This is something nobody talks about. You're the person who's got most of the information for it, and I think it needs to be out there. So today we're going to be talking about the 1995 Panini trading cards. That's right, not just those stickers that everybody knows about. They have a trading card set. Paul, I'm just going to give you the floor, and I'll just interject with questions as we go.
Okay, well, I'll take you back to sort of my experience with them. I'd say we're going 20 years anyways. Back in those days, you know, when the Fleer sets were coming out, and I was starting to find other products. So this early 2000s, in around there. And I recall seeing specifically the Hakushi card, because he had all the tattoos and stuff. It was very cool. And I'll talk about the configuration of the set in a second. But I remember seeing that card and being listed as a card and then thinking, that's cool. And then not seeing any others. Then a short time thereafter, I saw a couple more. Again, I recognized, oh, these are the same design graphic as the Hakushi ones. And then I'd say maybe 6 months later, again, one or two more. And I emailed the guy and I said, are these cards or stickers? Now, let me preface this by saying at that time, Panini was known for making stickers, and lots of them all around the world, right? So the notion of a card set was a bit foreign to them. And this guy replied back to me and said, yeah, they're actual cards. Now, the card sets themselves are really, really nice. And for me, it's like, well, how come we're not seeing more of these? We're seeing everything else, you know, the Wonderamas and the classics and the Impels and everything else, you know, it was commonplace, but we couldn't find these. So flash forward to maybe about 5 years ago, and I'd never seen them again. Never even thought about him again. And then all of a sudden, Anthony on his site, the Husker Halves website, lists them. And his headline was like, stop the presses. We've talked about All Stars. This is the rarest card set that's out there. This is the 1995 Panini card set. And I clicked on it and I'm like, yeah, that's them. Those are the cards. And I'd never seen them since. And it was like, that's the set. And they exist. I was like so happy, because I thought they were stickers, found out they were cards, never saw them again. And I'm like, what's up with this set? So so Anthony had all of them but four of the cards, and I was able to finally get a set that I was aware of in New Zealand, and it's the only complete set that we're aware of earlier this year. Now, mind you, I was aware of it 2 years ago, and it took that long for us to sort of come to terms on how to make it happen. Now, let me tell you about the set. And the way it's configured, there's 25 cards of each performer times 4. So there's 100 cards, 4 different sort of subsets of the 25 performers. And I'll just go through who they are. And again, this is a who's who of sort of new generation 95 wrestling, Bret the Hitman Hart, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Undertaker, and these are 4 beautiful cards. Bam Bam Bigelow, British Bulldog, Smoking Guns, King Mabel and Sir Mo, Yokozuna, Bodhidana, Savio Vega, 123 Kid, Bertha Faye, Bob Holly, Goldust, King Kong Bundy, and one of the real gems is the first card ever of Isaac Yankem. So that would be Glenn Jacobs' record. So people say the Kane rookie, you go further back, and there's 4 of these, remember. So when I say there's a Kane rookie, there's 4 of them, or an Isaac Yankem rookie. Sid, Waylon Mercy, yeah, remember Dan Spivey?
Yeah.
Great character. He was in the magazine cards, maybe in 1 or 2 of the Merlins, but 4 of them here, beautiful cards. Dean Douglas, an Owen Hart card. There's 4 Owen Hart cards here. They're not his rookie. He did have a card in the 94 Action Pact, but these are 4 beautiful cards. Hakushi, which is the one I remember with all the tattoos. Henry Godwin, and then the crown is the Triple H. These are the first Triple H cards ever printed.
Right.
Times 4. There is a Triple H magazine card. We don't know when in the series it was, but it seems to be later in the year. So my assumption is that these 4 cards came out as a set. Now, obviously, it's a very, very limited print run. Might have been a test run set. A lot of them went to South Africa for whatever reason. So the longest time I thought that's where they were made until I got them. And then you can see very clearly in the small print, printed in Italy by Panini. They made their way to Asia, specifically New Zealand and Australia. But again, never sets, just pieces. And it was quite a remarkable thing because we always talk about the rarest sets in wrestling. And I think we all agree that the 1979 Rax Roast Beef is probably the rarest wrestling set. But then number 2, I would put as probably these, or I call these the rarest set of the modern era, just because they're not out there. As I mentioned, Anthony is short 4, and I've seen a few pieces here and there, but again, nothing close to all 100 in mint condition that one could pick up all at once. So people think they're stickers. I hear that often. Oh, I say the 95 Panini cards, well, aren't they stickers? So I just wanted to set the record straight that no, it's an actual card set. And if you wanted to see the entire card set, you'll have some images, I'm sure. But on the Wrestling Card Price Guide, if you go to the 95 Paninis, we have our flip through. So there's a complete video flip through of all 104 cards. And I should mention 104 because after the 100, there's also 4 chase cards, one for SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and whatever the other big one is.
Survivor Series,
correct. And there's also a checklist card, which is very cool because it has it in each, like the checklist has the columns of each of the 4 subsets. So not only is it a rare set, but there's images on the back. There's little quotes on them. Like it's a really unique and special set. So when I finally got them and I'm going through it, I'm like, wow, it's a shame that these never sort of made it into the mainstream as a sort of mainstream set that we chat about. No idea as to the worth. I'm not a grader. I would think that if we were to take these individually, specifically the 4 Triple H's and some of the other names and got them graded, and these would grade well, I think there'd be some value there.
Well, I think honestly, this is the kind of thing where it could be bent in half and have a huge amount of value just because you don't see them.
No, it could be. It could be. You know, that's why I'd really like to find a second set, to know if there's more out there.
So I'm just going to start throwing some questions at you that I have. Where you got this all in one shot, correct? The complete set. Right.
Yes.
And
I couldn't believe it when I made contact with the guy originally, and he said I had them listed on my site just from what information Anthony had provided, right? With a sort of very, very pie in the sky value, not really knowing. And he said that he had these, and I'm like, no, you don't have these. And I said, send me a picture, and it was them. And then I said, send me all the, like, I couldn't believe he had the set. And we couldn't do a deal then. We couldn't do a deal a year later, but we did this year, which is odd because during the pandemic, I would have thought, well, it's not a chance now. He's going to be hanging on. And I thought someone would find out about these, but luckily no one else did. And they're now here and I'm looking at them. And it's cool because, again, they're cards and not stickers made by Panini. Now, you know what Panini knows about these things? Nothing, because I've tried to get information, background information, what the print runs were, stuff like that. No one knows about these things.
That's really interesting. I mean, I guess it is, Panini's changed so much from 20 years ago. So I could see how, I guess, they would forget these things. But it is interesting that they produced a set that they don't even know about. And you kind of just wonder, how does that happen?
How does that happen? It's a beautiful set. But, how does Topps make a living set that they screw up every third run?
We don't even need to get into that. It's
we can to talk about get into the what happened.
Right.
What happened to all those Rax Roast beef cards? I've chatted back and
Yeah.
forth with David about them, and he says he thinks a lot of people just chucked them. We're just after the free French fries, and they haven't survived.
That
And
one makes a little bit more sense to me though, because it was one of those oddball releases. But here you have an official company producing these things with their name on it. It's not a mom and pop style thing, and they don't have a clue.
With images you've never seen before. So
Right.
They're unique images. I haven't seen these on stickers or any other cards, with very cool looking backs, with a real crop, I mentioned them before, of wrestlers, So there's a lot of guys like, the Triple H rookies, the 4, that's pretty special.
I've seen on your site, your video, and I've seen some images just kind of sporadically. I've never actually seen a whole set put together. And the images and the names, like everything about this set screams new generation. So I think this is something people should definitely look into if they're fans of new generation and some of the talent in there. You mentioned Owen Hart, and we mentioned Triple H, Isaac Yankem too. I think that there are some cards in this set that people might want to go after that they think, oh, I just listed 2 of them right there in Isaac Yankem and Triple H. People think that the magazine cards or those 97 Cardinal trivia cards are like their first card, stuff like that. And it's not true, because this set actually has them. So what are some other names in this set that people may want to chase after if they're just wanting a specific wrestler?
Brett, Sean, Taker, say yes to Razor and British Bulldog, Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, there's a lot of big names. Next week, Yoko. I'll tell you, the 1-2-3 kid, I think he had action packed as well. So this wouldn't be
94. He did, yeah.
Bertha Faye. I don't think you're going to find a Bertha Faye card. Maybe in the magazines, I suspect, with Harvey, but early Bob Holly. Isaac Yankem for sure, Goldust, and then Owen and definitely Triple H. The Hunter cards are.
Is that Goldust's first? Would that be considered his first card? Because I don't. He didn't have any in the action packs. So if that's a 95, then I would think it'd have to be.
It might be then.
So that's another good one.
Right. So that'll be my tweet later on this week.
There you go.
I'll round up the 4 Goldusts, and I'll put them out there and put the question mark. Are these the first 4?
So as far as the
beautiful cards, and it's funny, it says Goldust from Hollywood, California, and it has this really neat sort of graphic on the back. Like, time and energy went into this set, so it's a bit mind-boggling that it didn't get released,
or that Panini doesn't have any idea about it, since they're the one, like, if they put that much effort into it.
I had a couple of emails. I ended up speaking to one guy who's sort of the archivist kind of guy, and kept going back to stickers. You sure you're not talking about stickers? I no, they're not stickers. They're not. Like, I'll grab a Goldust card. Here's the Goldust card, and it's a card.
Right.
And there's 100 of them. So that's the thing with this set. You don't see them often enough to realize. And I had seen them, liked them, thought they were stickers, reached out to the guy. At the time, he was wanting $20 or $25 a card, which back then was insane for a base card of any sort.
Sure.
But again, not appreciating the rarity, right? Not understanding. Similarly with those, I think I mentioned off air about the 2016 tops, the online exclusives, right? Those are hard to put together as a set. So it's the kind of thing where that's going to be highly collectible in 10 years time, maybe even sooner. These things, again, once Anthony found them, I was so happy, because it's like, yeah, I knew there was something out there that looked cool, and there were cards, and when something's sort of incomplete in your brain, and when you're so sort of sure about everything else that you're doing, and trying to keep up on the hobby and being sharp about it, and then these guys turned up, and I was like, wow, they exist.
So have you seen, I know you've seen them, because you said you had some of the singles. Have you seen singles
I didn't
of any of these? Right.
I didn't buy the singles. I've seen them. Recently, a guy put up one Shawn Michael, and I think it went for $65 for the one.
Cool.
Right. And now there's 4 of them in the set. So if you take that Michael's at 64 raw and you grade it, and if it's a good grade, an 8 or better, you've got a valuable card there. And now you can do that times 100, maybe not 100, but you know what I mean? Like, there's enough of progression there. Bundy, the Bertha Faye card is cool, because I don't think there's a lot of Salvio Vega, Bonnie Donas. So how many Sunny cards are out there? These are the ones, by the way, I really like these ones, because they, I like all of them are posed this way, and this is the Bonnie Donas one.
Hope you guys are enjoying this video so far. Just want to take 1 second to remind you about how you can help support this content and keep these shows coming each and every week. Make sure to check out the podcast I'm involved with, Wrestling with Cards, the podcast, audio companion to these videos, however, sometimes different topics. You're going to want to check that out. Check out Worlds Collide, myself and Tony Vella from WrestlingTradingCards.com, bantering back and forth about all kinds of crazy wrestling and wrestling card related topics. You won't want to miss that. Make sure to subscribe to both shows and give us a 5-star review. If you want to help support the content from a monetary perspective, links below to my eBay store where there's all kinds of great cards and collectibles you can find very affordable price. There's also links to Patreon, where, as I mentioned earlier, Paul isn't a member of the booking committee, but if you want to be a member of the booking committee, you can come on the show, you can pick show topics, or you could get your name in the credits of all of these shows as little as $1 a month. Trust me, that money goes a long ways to buying extra equipment, hosting, etc. Links below to all my social platforms as well. You can repost this video, tag me in it, and of course, you know what's coming. I'm running low on coffee. If you want to buy me a coffee, gotta stay caffeinated to get these videos going. Links in the show notes for that as well. However, if you want to do none of those things and just sit back and watch these videos, your support is still greatly appreciated. Fist bump.
But if you look at the back, like look at the information that's on there. You know, they give contenders, weight, personal, and you get different variations on the 4 sets. Let me just show you this one. Like we were talking about Spivey. Like, this is a beautiful card that you're not going to see very often. You know, so these and it's full of gems like this. You know. I like a lot of the foreign stuff that Anthony's unearthed, like the stuff from Russia, because you see pictures and images you don't often see. But these in particular are really cool because they're in English, even though they're printed.
Sure.
And they're just great.
So one transition I want to make here is we were talking about was it the 2016 NXT that we were talking about before we got on air? So we've kind of put some correlations from this set to that set. So I'll throw that at you and let you talk about it.
Well, the 2016 Topps NXT was a very unique product insofar as there were boxes of only 5 cards, 4 base cards and an autograph, or maybe it was 5 and 6, but I think it was 4 and 5. And I think there was 60 cards to make up the base set. So given that they were $50-$60 for one of those small boxes, one would have had to buy $500-$600 worth of product to maybe make a base set. So not surprisingly, on the secondary market where I grab most of my stuff that's been assembled, I wasn't able to purchase a 2016. Thought about doing it in pieces. I bought some of the autographs, but haven't been able to put that set together. And I'm aware of only one guy who is a case buyer that broke it and kept the set for himself, and he's keeping it for his own PC. And that's the only one that I'm aware of that set. Now, regular NXT releases, everybody's got a base set, but that one no. So the Rax Roast Beef, the 95 Paninis, and the 2016 NXTs, even though people are saying 2016 NXTs, why are they in the conversation? Well, if they're not, they're going to be.
That's so random, like that. You know, but like look at the space in the years between the 3 sets you just named,
it's just
and like
seating and the way they're printed. You know, like the Farouk knee brace was a misprint, right? So that became, oh, we better stop production on this because it's a G, not a K or whatever, or Q. And Hurricane Mask, again, something went wrong in the production process. I remember Grim telling me the story when they're trying to get the mask into the cards and they gave up after 8 and out they went. And they become the most valuable relic cards of all time. So yeah, you know, it's the kind of thing where modern day Topps puts out a lot of everything, lots of parallels, and we all have many of the same cards. Some are just different numbers and different, but these are unique, just like the Rax Roast Beef, very unique. Like every time I see them, I'm like, wow, that's they even look like they came out of a tavern in the 70s. You know what I mean?
You
know, they got that look to them.
Right.
Much like the stickers of the 90s, new generation, a lot of neon colors, and that's what this set reflects. You know how the Wonderamas have that muted sort of look with the white borders that sort of suggestive of NWA at the time. Similarly, these sort of speak to that. And you know, Merlin made some good product, and obviously we had the Flair stuff come later. But this is a really nice set that not too many people know about for whatever reason.
So do you think that, you know, the rarity of these sets, and well, I'm almost going to throw Rax Roast Beef out because we just, like, unless you Google image them, you just don't see them. But
there are some kicking around. There was a guy that has a few, not beyond David, not all of them, and he wants a lot for them. And that's where that sits.
You know, and it could be a situation where all of a sudden it's something like the 97 Panini stickers where we don't see them, and all of a sudden there's a, you know, palette of them that show up in some random country somewhere. Possibly. Or in this case with the Rax Roast Beef, it could be in someone's barn in Tennessee, you know. So there's no telling what could happen with these things.
Yeah, when the rock stickers or the Panini stickers were uncovered, my first thought was, any cards in there? You know, but I think that this must have been a test print, right? Because the cards have made their way out into the marketplace, but few and far between. It's strange. You know?
So another thing that I immediately thought of when I was just talking to you about the rarity of these things, even before we got on, stuff I was thinking about. A lot of people just gravitate to the same old stuff all the time because they want to go for the value. So, key cards like Undertaker Merlins are classics, Hogan 85s, 82 All Stars, pretty much anybody in there. Do you think that this set, with it being so rare and some of the names in it, could maybe project the value and importance of some of these names in this set? And
Possibly.
Rax Roast Beef and 2016 NXT kind of combined in the thought process of all of those, because I hate it when there's a wrestler out there that we all love and he's a legend, he's in the Hall of Fame, and he just gets no cardboard love whatsoever in the hobby. Do you think the rare, well, Razor Ramon, that's a good one.
Right.
Goldust, that's another one. Right. Body Donna's, like everybody.
Hall of Fame yet?
What's that?
Is Goldust in the Hall of Fame yet? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but
you're talking guys that will be.
Or potentially like memorable characters, not somebody that was just like, in there for.
When you're talking about Dean Douglas, when you're talking about Psycho Sid, 1, 2, 3 Kid, Body Donnas, like these are all names. Never mind the next tier of Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels.
So that's, I guess, those are the type of names I'm saying. And do you think that with these being so rare, it will kind of lift up the popularity of their name, like the wrestlers themselves within the hobby? Or,
well,
it's a tough question, but it's just something I'm thinking.
Probably not, Zhan, because we have other cards of all these names. Like if these were cards that didn't exist of anybody, okay, so the first Triple H is great, but we have loads of Triple H cards, so we don't need the 95 Paninis to bolster the value of Triple H's name in the hobby. I think it kind of works against the set that there's so few of them. You know what I mean? So it's very difficult. Like PSA has nothing in their registry, right? So it'd be very difficult to try and put a value to it and say, well, just because of its rarity. But with respect to, like, for me, seeing the Body Donnas, really saying Waylon Mercy, those kinds of the cards for me are exciting because there's not a lot of them.
Right.
The fact that I may have the Goldust rookie and I do have the Triple H rookies, that was just, even at the time when I got them, I didn't even realize the Triple H were the rookie cards, because I went onto Twitter and said, okay guys, what are we calling a Triple H rookie? Are we going with the magazine? Is there nothing before, nothing in 94? I realized these could be them.
There's no arguing it at this point. Even if you want to go by the traditional Beckett rule of, first pack pulled, like, this is it. There's no disputing it. Right.
And I presume these came out of packs. I don't know. Right. I've never seen packs, but all the images I have, well, I don't have a box image, never seen one of those. It's mysterious. Like, even for the Rax Roast Beef, all these years later, they were able to go, or David was able to go with some of the other chaps from the day and put together the story of what happened in one night only, and and this is what it was, and this is how the cards got made and what happened. But with these, we know nothing, and Panini knows nothing, and I knew nothing until Anthony found them. And Anthony had a guy that said, oh, check these out, you're never going to see these. And when he put them up, I'm like, those, I've seen these, and I've been waiting for these to surface all these years, and here they are.
I like it too that, that we're talking Dean Douglas and the Body Donnas and the Goldust, we keep circling to these same names. And I think one reason one thing that kind of is making us do that is they're ancillary characters that us as wrestling fans all never forget and remember forever. Even to this day, we're talking about them, and it's been 20 years, and they don't, they're not doing anything now.
Yeah,
but I love the
Spivey and that Waylon Mercy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember that sort of Cape Fear vividly, even though it was short. It was a short character, but I specifically remember at that time that character because I thought that's cool. I just like that gimmick, and it didn't fly for a long period of time. But it's like Regal and Man's Man. That all lasted all of like a month or something. It was very short, but we remember it.
Right. And looking at it from the card perspective, like we see, we listed the big names to start this, the Bret Hart, the Shawn Michaels, like they've got cards everywhere. But Waylon Mercy doesn't have cards everywhere. Goldust around this time period didn't have cards everywhere. Body Donnas, Dean Douglas, those names.
You have to go to the magazine cards. That's where they're all going to turn up in one form or another. Like, everybody is in the magazine cards. There's no one missing.
Right, but I consider those like almost an oddball release. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like about these weird sets that come up as the ancillary characters, because like the best example I can use is when you were going through your 95 card set, you know, people are looking at those packs and all of a sudden you pull a Dink and you're like,
Yeah.
what the heck is Dink doing in here?
Right.
And that's the kind of the same feeling I get with some of these names, and I just love it.
Yeah, like for example, Savio Vega. But the other night I saw a thing on the network with him and Stone Cold. They were wrestling the night when the power went out, and they were talking. And then the next night they had to redo that match, and everyone around was talking about how great Savio Vega and Steve Austin were gelling during that time. And Stone Cold hadn't broken yet, and Savio was sort of at the tail end of his career. But they just worked a fantastic program. I see him here, so that's nice to see. Like let me show you this card. Just to give you a different perspective of some of the graphics. And again, I can send you whatever images you want and you can put up. Like there's a Yoko card, for example. And, you know, look at the back of it. There's almost another card on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So again,
you gotta love that design. It's so 90s.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just a rare set. It's a very, very nifty collectible.
That's another thing I liked about a lot of the, and it seems like it's all mostly in the 90s. When you can look at a card and it screams the era that it was produced
in. The colors specifically. Right. It was very bright. And you can see this by what they're wearing, like Bertha Faye's got balloons and all the colors of the rainbow. And then, of course, they went darker and edgier when they slipped into the Attitude Era.
And you can see that in the Comic Images cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything's dark. Like
it's the same kind of thing. Like Fleer was, on those Diva sets, very bubbly as well, right? Because that was the image that they were portraying the character. So it's true. I even find it on the new Impacts. I find the Impact set that just came out yesterday again. It kind of has that look, so it's cool.
So is there anything, this is a random question, and I haven't studied the set as much. Is there anything in that 2016 NXT that kind of stands out to you? You know, we mentioned some of the names in this one.
There are a few rookies in there. Alexa Bliss for one, a couple of others. Again, I don't have the set, so they're not top of mind. But if you're to just do a quick eBay for some singles on there, and singles now are quite expensive. You know, they're not cheap. But yeah, that's the first NXT set, right? Dedicated NXT that isn't part of a top 2016 or top 10 and now. Like we've had subsets of NXT since it started, but that was the first dedicated set. And it was an online exclusive and hard to put together. And in hindsight, my thing is the set comes out, and I've done enough business over the years with people, you know, resellers and case breakers that I'm able to get, but not on these because people that had bought them, right, and broke them didn't get a set. You know what I mean? It just didn't work out. So it was not enough cards and poor collation that made that difficult to come by. This set here, I believe it's a test print or just a very, very short release, you know, insofar as numbers. And same with Rax Beef. I think that it was a one night only where people were swimming in it, and that was that. You know, I should also mention, and Rob's the guy to talk to about this, obviously, is that there's some early Japanese stuff too that's incredibly rare. It's exquisite stuff. But again, that doesn't really enter the mainstream. Like it's not these kinds of names. And the Rax Roast Beef isn't these kinds of names. And even the NXTs, even though we might have some rookies of cards of people that are bigger today, there's like 25 big names here. Yeah,
this is out of all the sets, this is the biggest mainstream set from a name and from a company perspective, because what Panini does now with sports cards has shined lights on all of their other products from the past. You know, whatever kind of franchise they had, it can lift value to those stickers or those cards. But to have such little information on such a mainstream set for this one specifically, it's just mind-boggling.
And, you know, none of us can read the future, and a lot of this stuff is going to be talked about in upcoming episodes, but, you know, Panini might get back into the wrestling card business, depending on how things shake up.
Yeah, it's a wild world right now.
It's not going to be Upper Deck, and, you know, again, we're going to talk about this more in the upcoming weeks, but, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see where Panini lands. And it's just funny because, you know, they're huge in soccer, you know, and they do hockey up here, but they have very little information on this set. And how long is it? 1995. So what? 25 years. You know, it's not that old. It's not like 78 Rax Roast Beef, but yeah. Even when Anthony put them up, he put like, "This is the set you've never seen." I'm like, yeah, it is, because it was always in my mind that there was a set out there that for whatever reason Tony and David didn't have on the site. You know, I don't think Chuck and I were communicating as much back then, but there was just no chatter amongst it. It was just in my head that there's something out there, you know, and we got there.
So if people are looking for singles of these Rex roast beef, NXT, you know, these three trifecta, really hard
Yeah,
to get.
Rex roast beef you're not going to get any.
Yeah.
These very, very infrequently. You know, I don't check every day for them, but you know, and the NXTs you're going to get more regularly. They're the ones that have the little you know, the chromy sort of semicircle at the bottom, very distinguishable. And you can get back names, you know, people that didn't progress that far. There's quite a few of those. You can get those for like 10, 15 bucks each, but you're not going to find the main cards, or if you are, they're graded already potentially, or they're already big money. But yeah, type in 2016 NXT, Alexa, and you'll see what I'm talking about. That set itself is just very difficult to put together. And again, there may be others, and if anyone else knows of any other sets that, you know, sets that are cards, you know, not stickers, let us know. I think that between, you know, Tony and David over the years, and Anthony and myself and Chuck, we've done a pretty nice job of covering most of it, but we're surprised by how often we find something that none of us have ever discussed, you know.
So I'm going to throw a complete curveball question at you that has to do with what we were talking about. With the upcoming AEW release from Upper Deck, and we've seen the prices of the boxes, we know kind of no guarantees on autos or relics or anything. How do you think that's going to shake out from a secondary set building perspective on these?
Well, here's the thing. At first I was concerned because I thought it's going to be difficult to put together a master set, but it doesn't seem like, it seems like we got the 100 base cards, and then there's a few small chases that are 1 in 5 packs or something like that. So they should be gettable. Given how everybody in a hobby is dropping everything to get their hands on these boxes, I'm not worried at all about getting a set, because I'm going to know 10 people that are going to have extras. So I think by default, everyone that's buying these boxes, you know, are going to be able to put a set together for Paul. So for me, it's going to be what can I get on the secondary market of value? You know, the autos that make eBay and stuff, and I'm going to be competing with everybody else. You know, so for me, I at first I was concerned about it. When people were prognosticating that the boxes were going to be 60, you know, 65 bucks, I'm like, no way, they're going to be 100 bucks, because and now they're like 140, settled that back down to 125, and they're not done yet. You know, let's see. They're all going to sell, you know, let's see what people put together. But, you know, there's no doubt it's going to be a big thing for the hobby, because it's bringing in eyeballs that haven't been in the trading card business up until now.
Yeah, that's one of my,
a lot of people,
yeah,
not just WWE trading cards period. Oh, you know, they love the AEW product, and figures are flying off the shelves. You know, they move very quickly. So the trading cards are going to do exceptionally well. And it looks like it's being rolled out and done in a professional, good way. We'll see. You know, maybe it'll be a clusterfuck at the end, but I don't think so. I think that it's going to work well with the resellers and the distributors, and it's going to be fun. But it's going to be like more than 100 bucks a box, and there's going to be lots of product kicking around. So
it may be better actually too for like people out there who want to put base sets together, because most people are going to be, I think they're going to be chasing, you know, the autos and the relics and the things that they most are.
Consider the impact cards and the way they're doing it. They're only releasing 10 cards of the set, right? And then if you want to get the next 3 autographs, you got to buy 3 sets. So you're spending 100 bucks, right, to get the base set 3 times, and then the 3 autos. Now I've got 2 of those two extra sets of those cards I don't need. Now I bought the ones yesterday, you know, so I'm going to have, when this is all said and done, I'm going to have however many times they do it, that many extra base sets.
Right.
And I've always been a guy that buys on the secondary market, that someone else cracks the cases, someone else rips the wax, and they assemble it for me, and I just, you know, stick it in a binder and catalog it. But it's going to be fun. A lot of people are going to be talking about it. It's good because there's the AEW set, there's what's happened with WPCC, and there's obviously the Fanatics stuff. And I'm going to be talking more about that this weekend with Tony. There's big changes ahead, and I think all for the good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, one thing as we kind of close the show, the whole reason I start creating content for the channel, or I probably wouldn't even be doing social media if it wasn't just trying to get wrestling cards out there to people to realize how fun they are and cool they are. And like you said, I think this AEW release could really be the catalyst to get wrestling fans into cards, because we all know wrestling fans will spend money and they'll buy the shirts and like you said, the figures flying off the shelf. So fingers crossed, this is a huge release.
Yeah, that's why we often talk about that. Why is wrestling not as big as MMA or NASCAR or some of these other things? And it should be. And we're doing our bit. You know, we're doing all we can, I think, to get the word out there and share the love. And it's fun if you like wrestling.
Yes.
And you like collecting of any sort, then give trading cards a try. They're a lot easier than figures, you know, to maintain. And you know, you get a binder and that's it. And there's a ton of them, and there's lots to collect. And we've talked on many episodes about the different ways you can collect and you can invest, and however you want to go about it. You know, it's just a neat way to tie together wrestling and the hobby, which we've been doing obviously for some time. But
Yes.
we're trying to troll new people into it. You know,
Right.
You know, because it's better for us if we have a more vibrant community, and all of a sudden, if our community start, you know, if the larger eyes start to take notice that, hey, wrestling's not just another non-sport subset anymore, it's its own thing. And that was just, you know, for a long time there was sports cards, non-sports cards, and wrestling that ultimately landed in the non-sports. But for the longest time in my mind, it sort of occupied a middle ground between the two. But because it was so small, you know, relative to the other sports, it just wasn't given the attention. I think we need to get it to that level. And I'm not saying we're going to get it to critical mass, but just a sort of grassroots following that we're developing to sort of organically get the community to get new members. Like David Peck, for example, did a great thing yesterday. He said, hey, who collects wrestling cards? And I thought,
Yeah.
why are you asking that? We know everybody who collects wrestling cards. Well, you know what? I got 50 new guys out of that.
Yeah, same.
You know what I mean? And people that, so now all of a sudden we've expanded geometrically or exponentially that much more. And that's what all this is. And when it started a year ago, you started a little bit longer than that, there was nothing. You know, there was WTC was down. It was just my site and Anthony banging away trying to sell a card at a time. And, you know, the odd discussion on blow up forums and things like that. But there wasn't this hobby,
Community. It's a community. It's become that. Yeah.
Is the right word. And what I'm fond of saying, I'm going to sound like a broken record, is that we all dig each other. You know, there hasn't been any sort of animosity or any trouble, and we all help each other, or we all support each other. And that just goes to show how much fun the hobby is, because we wouldn't be doing that otherwise, right?
Yeah, and another thing I want to preface is that we can all disagree. Like, there are people that do different things, but for the most part, everybody in wrestling cards, whether we agree or disagree on something, even if you want to talk about agreeing or disagreeing on rookie cards, we can all kind of gather around to have a discussion.
Exactly. There's going to be no right or wrong answer on some of this stuff, and that's okay. You know, we're having the discussion, and you know, we kind of rocked the boat a little bit by putting those all-stars up against the WCW. Not meaning to try and suggest one was better, you know, but you know, it's just another interesting discussion, and that brought a lot of eyeballs to the set. And you know, it's all for the greater good of the hobby and for knowledge, as you're fond of saying, you know. And that's what I wanted to make sure that these 95s don't sort of get slipped under the umbrella of stickers, and people do realize, yeah, there is a Panini card set from 95, rare as it is, but it's out there, and forces people to look for it. You know, now everyone's out there searching 95 Panini. I hope more of them turn up, because it's better for me if there's more than just this one set here.
Right. And one more thing I'll throw out, this last question, or not really a question, it's a statement, is that I think a lot of times some of us in wrestling cards, I'm going to put myself in there, I think some of us get a bad rap because some people think we're just out for the value, the money, the flipping mentality. The thing that does wrestling cards such good in the trading card space is because we see a lot of that in sports cards and non-sports cards about people going after stuff just to flip it or whatever, and that's fine. I do that sometimes. But as we're talking about this Panini set today, and you're saying Dean Douglas and Waylon Mercy, the thing with wrestling cards is I hear those names, I see the images, it sends me back to that time, and the next thing I know, I'm on Peacock or the network or pulling out DVDs or something to watch what you know, where this took place. And that's something that I think wrestling has that a lot of other things don't have.
Right. And we have a love of wrestling, obviously, but we also have a love of card collecting, because obviously I could cash out on these pretty easily.
Sure.
I'm not interested.
Right.
You know, I've had a few offers, but not interested. I'm having too much fun having them at the moment.
Yeah.
You know? And we've talked about that before. You know, sometimes they say that the chase is better than the catch, but every so often the catch is nice.
Agreed. Yeah, I've got some stuff that I won't be letting go of anytime soon. So
no, you flash every once in a while. I'm like, my man, good card.
Yeah. Paul, thanks again for coming on the show. Thanks for all the great information, guys. Everybody, check out the link. I'll put it in the show notes to the wrestling price guide, and specifically this video of this specific set. Paul, let everybody know about the price guide real quick and where they can find you.
Yeah, it's thewrestlingcardpriceguide.com. We've got every set that we're aware of listed. We've got rough prices on stuff. We're a little more fine-tuned on more popular releases. We got images and we've got videos where possible. It's where I have the set, or a few cases where Chuck did a few videos, and they're cool. The other day someone sent something that said, "Show us what you're into." And I just did a link to my YouTube channel, and there's like 360 sets of videos there, So I said, well, if that answers the question, So, yeah, thewrestlingpriceguide.com, and on Twitter it's card_guide.
Right.
I'm not on Insta and Facebook. I keep for personal stuff, but yeah, Twitter is where most of our back and forth goes.
Yeah, come join us on Twitter. Great wrestling card community on there.
Nice seeing you again, pal.
Yep. Have a good day. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks again to Paul for coming on the show today and talking about these Panini cards from 1995. Do you personally have any of these cards from this set? If you do, leave a comment below. Or if you don't have any and you want more information on these, or if you like these cards, leave a comment below. Let's get a discussion about this card set going and see what the general public thinks about it. Make sure to check out the Wrestling Card Price Guide and check out Paul on Twitter. He's a great follow, great interaction with him. Links to both the website and his Twitter profile will be in the show notes as well. If you like today's video, hit that subscribe button. Give me one of these. Again, check all the show notes for all the great ways that you can help support this content. Check out Paul. Until next time, click the videos on the screen for more great wrestling card content. We'll see you there.